I think we can just talk about you as an instructors and all the things you go through, and also weave that into the practice week. Yeah,
Oh, all right.
I have something wrote down, so I think we're prepared enough to just hit it. Are
All
we
right.
live?
I think
Okay.
we're live.
Yep, we're live.
Let me pull up the chat.
Hello, hello, guys. We are waiting for Frank to also finish on one of the last discussion of this week. So today is the last week of last week of our cohort 7 bootcamp. And yeah, Frank is in one of the session right now, and I'm also just posting on our social to let people know that we are live. Okay.
I think Frank's joining us now. Live from our bedroom, living room, basement in Frank's case.
Yeah, Frank is
Let me send.
popping on soon, but we were just saying that
Let me send the link he's asking for. Go ahead.
it's the last day of the week 12 training. Next week, like we've been posting that the public practice week is coming. So it's both for people new, incoming people that want to join CC, that want to accompany us in our next boot camp that's starting in January. Specific is January 19th for 12 weeks on that. But today, like Frank was just coming out of the last discussion of a cohort. So yeah, we're rounding up things. Tomorrow will be the last Saturday debrief of this cohort. So a lot of things are wrapping up, and right before we going live, me and Taylor were just checking in with each other about like this sense of a little bit tired, a bit exhaustion. There is the mental fatigue. There is the physical fatigue, I guess. Also, like some of us don't have enough sleep, so that stacks over time. And like you guys know, Taylor is also a firefighter, so there is also that side of the job that is very demanding on its time. Yeah, so but
Mm,
we also know that the job's not finished. We're still going to host the next week, and there's still ongoing activities, and not still like job not finished. So
yeah, it's funny. A lot of the mentors and various team members, they're in some way, it's bittersweet when the cohorts end, right? Especially these last two cohorts. They were quite lovely experiences for the most part. And so
ongoing.
there's a bittersweetness when they end, but at the same time, a lot of the team members, the mentors and whatnot, like I was saying, are looking somewhat forward to a little break, like a little reprieve from the kind of scheduled daily grind of all the meetings and debriefs and briefs and whatnot. But I don't know about you guys. Maybe that's similar for Frank as well. But like as we get closer to the end of the cohort, thinking about preparing for the next cohort and like all the curriculum building there is to be done, all the I'm just it feels like there's more work, at least for me, in between the cohorts than during the cohorts. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
on the last discussion. I'm going on like 3 discussions, 3 live streams a day, 3 transmissions. I try to go on the one in B every day, but sometimes I don't make it.
Mm.
So
Are you even
I
doing
can't
all
really
three
tell.
sits, or are you just joining the discussions?
I do it both in the morning and the night for sure. But B sometimes I don't do it, but I turn it on because I'm there. Maybe today I went to the gym because I know I have to do this later. I won't have time. But during the discussion, I've been going on even before the transmission. Like they do this pre-game pre-game talk. I try
Mm.
to participate as much as I can. Yeah, but I don't know.
Pre-game.
I kind
Yeah,
of stop thinking about like, oh man, what's coming up. Just move on to one meeting to the next, and Yeah, I don't know what's going on most of the time now.
Mm.
But
That's funny.
also I do.
I was just telling, so it might have been in the last one-on-one I had or somebody I was talking to. It's even though, we have this causal picture of what's going on and what needs to get done. I was sharing that like I don't know what's going on, man. Like what is going on?
I
Like
don't
what's
know.
going on, but it's like you don't know what's
But you
going
also
on.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that feels like. You can't
Yeah.
even tell if you're tired, energetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are certain moments when you definitely know you're tired, but those are minimalized right now in my experience. Most of
Mm.
the time, it's just like both, maybe both super hyper, but then also a little tired. Sometimes your body's tired, your mind's hyper, sometimes the other way around. And it's not like
Yeah, I
you
was
think
just
about these
telling
things. But maybe I'm just an
Connor
idiot
about
because I'm
that.
not doing a pacing correctly, but
Mm.
I'm just doing it, just
Mm.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know,
like go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, this ties to what I wanted to share with us today as well, with Eli and with Frank here, because I was texting Frank on in one of the team's chat channel. Is I was seeing Taylor's one-on-one with one of our current acolytes. I was like, oh shit, I don't know about these things about Taylor. It's like only actual because like Taylor was actually sharing prior to him joining CC. At that time, he was only so-called as have a formal practice, a meditative formal practice for something like 6 months. Uh, but of course,
Oh,
looking back,
really?
yeah. So like, see,
Good.
like, we know that shit. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But looking prior to that, recontextualizing our path, of course, we can see that okay, it's always been the case, and like there's actually a lot of build up and accumulation. But one of the
Yeah. Yeah.
things that in that meeting that stood out for me in regarding to this exhaustion is I think Taylor, you were talking about how you know you're getting really tired because we also increase the fitness to be able to be tired and still perform. But
Hmm.
something you said about like when it's like even difficult to get out of bed in the morning.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
wake up and like I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah. It's
How?
it's
Yeah.
because before like that difficulty to get out of bed, especially when I was younger, it's almost like because you have these competing desires, right? And they don't
Mm,
in a sense have something, even if it's just functionally speaking, to unify them. And so like that struggle to get out of bed when you're younger might be like I struggle to literally wake up with the alarm, right? But now it's like I'm oftentimes, if not waking up with the alarm, waking up 5 minutes before the alarm, even if I set the alarm at different times, right? Like it's actually kind of interesting how my body can. I'll set the like I'll set my alarm for 6 a.m. one day, 5 a.m. the next day, 4:45 the next day, and I'm consistently getting up 5 to 3 minutes before the alarm even goes off when it's not on a set schedule. But then the tough part of getting out of bed becomes the consistent, like I'm awake, but the choice, like the consistent choice to like we're doing this, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this, okay, we're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
that hasn't been an issue for me. It's like alarm, boom, up.
Congrats.
The- yeah, that I don't know why. I'm not trying to brag. Maybe I'm bragging. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
They
up,
go through.
up. And actually, it's the excitement never left. Even in like a couple weeks when I was a little bit
Yeah, I
more
wouldn't
tired,
say that
it's
there's a
like
lack
the
of
excitement is
excitement per
just like
se.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the
But
when yeah, like you say, the
you
conflict
specifically,
is kind of interesting.
yeah, you specifically though, you're always excited.
Yeah, I guess that's just my like because I'm not as smart as you guys, but
That's
that's what I
for
have.
unfair advantage, right?
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not as like smart as some of you guys, but I do have the excitement, the interest to make up for it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't ever wake up excited. Ever.
Interesting. Ever
Maybe like
really? Maybe that's a
5 times in my
disposition
life.
thing.
5 times.
That's a disposition thing.
Yeah.
I'm like
You-
it's yeah. I don't wake up excited.
So you just want so if you don't have to work, you have the choice. You just keep sleeping. How long would you sleep for? And would you really just not want to get up, or? But you're not
No,
depressed though.
it's also not about sleeping in either because like even right now if I don't have work or something like I'll still wake up at like 7, 8 something like that unless I'm really tired then maybe I'll sleep in a little bit but it's usually like 7, 8 or like okay I'm up but it's just like a slow start to the day and then like slowly grinding. But it's interesting because I think because usually the first flavor of the day for me is something like quite like almost melancholy in that kind of flavor. I wake up and
Mm,
feel like there's like a little grief, little sadness.
yeah.
Like
And you
that
wanna
that
you can enjoy it, like imagine yourself smoking a cigarette, sitting
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah, more
porch.
like that kind of flavor. So like
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah.
get hyped up over time in a day, but it
Yeah.
would start there. So then that's why like but that's helped me with like because we train in the morning, right? So that's helped me with contemplate a lot of stuff in the morning because it's like quiet. I'm already moody, so it's like I can go there and experience certain like range of emotions, and I'll
Yeah.
just stay. It's actually like that's where I feel like I'm the most patient with myself because I'm already feeling like shit waking up.
Mm.
What about your wedding day when you woke up? Were you
Mm.
happy? Were you excited on your wedding day?
Um, no, not really. I remember
Good
on my
answer, I
wedding day,
guess.
it's just wake up and stressed. It's like
Yeah.
weddings, I don't know if, for other people, my wedding day was fucking stressful, man. Like there's all these things. We gotta wake up at like early at 5:30 something. It's early for me, 5:30. Gotta get dressed, get some everything ready. We're gonna go to the bride side. It's a whole like East Asian kind of wedding. We got entourage, we gotta get moving. Like it's still the sun has not even out yet, but we gotta get on the car to drive for like an hour, all those things. Yeah, but so no, it was stressful. Wedding was very stressful for me.
What about you,
Mm.
Taylor? What was the morning of your wedding like?
I didn't have a wedding.
Oh, you
Me,
came
my
directly.
wife and
Oh,
I, we just eloped. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Never
interesting.
about just like afterward ceremony, just like a party with friends, dinner, nothing.
Like a
We didn't even
cigarette,
get around to doing that yet.
Well, it's not
just
too
like a
late to do it,
Yeah.
Maybe you can have.
Yeah, we're actually planning to, well, our intention is so we'll make 8 years, 9 years together. That's not married though. We make 6 years coming this January. So next month,
oh
we'll be
shit.
married for 6 years. I think, yeah, 6 years. We got married in 2020. So we're thinking maybe for like our 10-year anniversary, we'll actually have a largish gathering, right? Invite friends, family, CC. Yep.
That's what we
Or
do.
you can wait until you both dead. Like I had this fantasy of doing my wedding and my funeral at the same time. I even wrote this
Uh,
whole like article about.
oh, that reminds me. Who was I just? I was just reading about someone. Oh, I was reading about, okay, I'll say the name after, but I was reading about someone because I was looking into this when we talk about devotion and duty and like the kind of men typically, tend to have this sense of duty to their wives and women tend to, and it's not uh explicitly binary like that, right? But this energy of duty versus devotion in the masculine and the feminine expressions. But and I was looking up some of these historical figures whose and the relationship they had with their wives, if they had very devotional kind of relationship with their wives. And the last person I looked up was the kind of that dynamic between Adolf Hitler and his wife. And I found out that they only got married, they got married the day that they both committed suicide.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting
There's
story.
something
I
there's
won't
something
retell it here because
symbolic
I
about
want
that.
to do it justice. Yeah, yeah.
So they decided to get married and then they both kill themselves. Like it's all part of the plan.
I think it was like she was very devoted to him
Oh,
throughout
okay.
the years of their relationship, and he appreciated her and admired her for her loyalty and devotion, among other things. But he was so, in a way, almost like single-minded towards what his
Grind.
purpose, mission, dharma, his dharma was. And so he just didn't really have, I think, from quotes from people who were close to him, it's just they they would see him like in exchanges between him and her, being very nurturing, very uncharacteristic for his typical temperament and personality in relationships, but being very nurturing and whatnot towards her. But he just didn't. I think his view of relationship, like marriage and relationship, were quite different. But then to like in a sense, like honor her before the end, they decided to get married um, on that day. Yeah.
Interesting.
Look at me painting him in a sympathetic light.
Stop
Uh,
humanizing.
yeah. Episode 3, public practice weekend coming. Ah,
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to ask about was Taylor's journey to get to, I don't even to get to anywhere. It's just like figuring stuff out, really. But it was
yeah.
very intriguing to hear how uh like even prior to joining CC, you were barely hanging around in so-called like spiritual marketplace or spiritual
I
communities, right? Like
yeah.
not typically like going on a retreat, reading a lot
No.
of work of this, work of
No.
that,
Never been on a retreat.
yeah.
Yeah. Which might be interesting for some people to hear.
Yeah, so it's just
Yeah.
like because I think you were talking to the other acolyte who has a very different background. Like she is very much uh immersed in spiritual communities since forever. So
Mm.
that was a really interesting contrast of how these two people can connect and meet each other and really talk in a way that, oh, you also know about that. Oh, I also know about that. But you coming from the place of really just a lot of, from how I understand your path, it's just a lot of uh figuring stuff out, so-called like we could say just mundane stuff like
Yeah. Yeah.
athleticism, diets, figuring out how to
Yeah.
move, how to be a personal trainer, just a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I think what underlies that is also a key thing that maybe is what I don't want to say like it in a substantial way is what allows or empowers me, but like mm, these, if you want to call them common threads or the the un mm, the non-confinement, unconfinement, something like that of these qualities, or of qualities in general. It's like most people set these distinctions right between what is spiritual and not spiritual, mundane and not mundane, intuitive, rational, and so on and so forth. But I've never really related to anything, at least even if it wasn't consciously, in a way that really solidified any of these distinctions or boundary points. And so, like a lot of the things that people cultivate in quote unquote an explicitly spiritual uh setting or domain, as well as like in athletics or in therapeutic environments, like any environment, there's you can I don't know, and I don't want to say in some way it all leads to the same point, right? Because that also depends upon, you could say, the eyes that are looking. But
That's what I'm interested as well. It's like, because I'm sure in the process of you going through those environments, there are peers around you, right? But somehow not everybody end up at the same place.
mm, yeah, yeah,
Right. Or even like I pose the same question for Frank as well. It's like you guys both went from community to community to community. Your journey continues, yet it's not even for good for bad. It's just an observation that some people just never get out of a certain kind of we could call it lane, a mode, for better or for worse, right? Because like they become specialized and they can become very content or whatever. But somehow, for whatever
mm,
reason, both of you guys from this to this to this to this to this, and there seems to be just a seamless, however seamless it is, but there's just this ongoing transformation.
yeah. And You have comments on that, Frank? I'll let you go first if
Oh,
you do.
I was just gonna say, I could relate to your journey, Taylor, actually, because like you were dabbling in other different fields. He's a really good photographer. Just being a firefighter, it seems like so opposite from spirituality, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
where
not.
is
And
that even for photography or like more of the artistic side? Is that always like a hobbies, a side projects, or how does that even
Um,
come?
yeah, I wouldn't say I've always, well, since I was younger, I had an interest in photography, but I don't know if it wasn't even for
it wasn't
photography
even
per se.
photography.
It
Yeah,
was just
it's not
like
photography per se. Yeah,
aesthetics, like just like aesthetics or
yeah,
whatnot. And that you can see that in bodybuilding, you can see that in
mm,
athletics, you can see
mm,
aesthetics everywhere, right?
yeah.
But here's an actual practice that's dedicated to like the, I don't know, like the intimacy and study and just immersing yourself in aesthetics and expression, right? So like photography, I wasn't able to actually get into it until late college, maybe when I actually had some money and I could like buy photography, like a
Years.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, like whatnot. Um, but like cinematography, I was really interested in. Like I had a lot of different things that I considered. I was like, I could see myself doing that, like dedicating myself to that. Like, um, but we have to concede, right? Like what is like we have to concede to kind of limitation. Otherwise, you kind of like you never, and that's a big thing that we talk about. It's like seeing things all the way through, and that's how you actually develop, like unearth and develop these various qualities that are like can be developed through any particular domain, but then become accessible just in an ultimate sense, right? You quote unquote open the jewel mine, as we talked about recently. But
I
um,
guess, yeah, one of the things I
oh,
enjoyed about spending time with you guys, with you two specifically, is that I mean, people in CC, there's a lot of talented and of course very uh eclectic bunch, like just people interested in different stuff.
mm,
I think for you, for Taylor, for Frank, you two, I see that you guys also dabble, not just dabble around, but also play with these communities at a very high level, at a very high level. Like whether that is
mm,
like creating art, and then like Frank, you hang out with people who become big name artists, Skillrex, Peter Frank,
Oh,
those
yeah,
kind of guys,
interesting.
mm,
who's now
Mm.
Joji and whatnot. Or Taylor, I know that you
And
also hang
Ronnie Coleman,
yeah,
Ronnie
Ronnie
Coleman,
Coleman, all those
just the
guys.
bodybuilding community. Mhm.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I know that you hang around with people that then become like world-class CrossFit athletes or things like that, right? Just jump, rub shoulder to
mm,
shoulder, or actually working with those kind of folks. So it's just not like you guys are dabbling around in the because there's people dabbling around, right? There's people like trying this, trying that, but they don't become excellent.
mm,
Like they don't figure it out, or they don't like they don't drill like the ways you guys drilled.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I would say like in a sense it's interesting, thinking about it now. We talked about the four pillars in CC before, right? Like you have this kind of meditative base that we develop, which a big part of that is really just becoming intimate and eventually further and further impartial with our experience, right? Impartial doesn't mean that there aren't varying degrees of intensity and whatnot, but kind of seeing through the own stories that you tell yourself, and then seeing the way in which those stories maintain themselves, are developed in the first place, evolve over time, and all of that is dependent upon like building this like dedicated intimacy with our experience. So like the yogic practice is what underlies all of what we do in a sense, right? And even that is like kind of making it a thing, right? But because you can, for example, then the next pillar is physical exertion, right? And like that meditative base can be developed purely through athletics. And so yeah, or even the third pillar, kind of like this relational, interpersonal conflict mediation, learning how to hold tension. So it's like all of these pillars, in a sense, like are to be cliche, they're various facets of the same diamond where you can cultivate all of these qualities. But it's dedicated emphasis, right? It's a particular emphasis. Um, yeah, and so I guess in that way, it's like if you I don't know, you can engage in all of them in varying degrees of emphasis through the different pursuits you have in your life. But then what makes that distinction or that difference for some people rather than others? And that's a whole nother conversation when we start to get into like disposition and whatnot. But yeah,
What's the fourth
like
one?
I mean, it's called philosophy. Like we refer
Oh,
to it
the
as
okay. Oh, yeah, yeah.
philosophy,
The views.
and
Right, right, right.
you know, like learning how to validly cognize, like and what makes a valid inferential inference, a valid inference, right? Like yeah. So, and it's almost like that you could say is mm, like you develop that just through truly learning how to learn, right? Like it's almost like the refinement of that process is what allows you to learn how to learn. And then that learning how to learn, that like cognizing and reasoning and having solid but provisional logic structures and being able to navigate that is then this transference of being able to learn and rise up a hierarchy in one domain, but then those qualities and skills translate to any domain that you enter. And then it's just about like just doing it, right? Just fully applying yourself in that.
Mm.
And then I guess
Maybe we should have
spirituality
a
is,
fifth one. We should have like
what
a
was that?
maybe we should have a fifth one, like an art thing.
Mm,
Because Albert is
yeah.
also an art teacher. A lot of us
Mm,
do art, but art is also including all these four things. That's what I'm saying. It's
yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
each
Right.
one of these things includes all the other ones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
That's
think
yeah.
maybe in a sense, like, yeah, I remember when I was telling Mei Chen that my fitness conditioning or my strength actually gone up. It's not, I'm not at the peak of like my fitness level, but it's pretty good right now compared to like
Mm,
any time periods like 10 years ago. And he was saying like, well, it's obviously because whatever you think you're developing in this domain, you're doing some of the other things. You actually the carryover is there. Like sometimes you develop by doing other things that might not directly relate to it. Sometimes that's the most efficient way to develop because by directly tackling the thing, it's almost like there could be a blind spot or like um I don't know. Like you
mm,
said, not making it into a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah.
almost like what you were telling me about your journey. Almost reminds me of like art students or maybe artists that they didn't really go to art school, but because they didn't
That's what I
have
feel like,
the
man. Because
no,
it's funny
they
because
didn't
like
have the
in all of these like in
the
like
obscure.
the
Yeah,
mentor team, the like all these different teams we had, the people who lead them are they're like people with like quote unquote real life
yeah. None of
credentials.
them
You
were
know,
like
they've
super
been to
into spirituality
Oxford,
before.
they're
Yeah,
collegiate athletes or
yeah.
previous coaches, and then you guys decided, oh, we're just gonna have this fireman teach philosophy. Like,
But that,
like,
that's
all
what
right,
I'm
I
trying to say.
trust.
That makes the most that in some ways that makes the most sense.
Mm, you think
Yeah,
so?
because, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
If
actually,
I mean,
yeah.
if you can see the interconnectivity of all things, sometimes like the things that seems the most like opposite side of the extreme actually connect in ways that only those who hear can see.
Mm.
Mm,
But then people who can't see those connections will just keep going down that one track, just like what Connor was describing, right? They have a really good idea what they want to do, or spirituality or this, but then the orientation just becomes uh like one track, like
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't know how
Another
to
way to put
explain
it,
it.
right? I think I've heard my friend who's a physical therapist has put it this way, right? Like we start off as generalists, and then eventually we have to specialize, right? But then some people get stuck in that unending refinement of specialization. But at a certain point,
Yeah.
you know, it's from that specialization, then we become generalists again.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, because you kind of close that causal loop. But we can say that about like I guess spirituality. We don't even call this
Mhm.
spirituality, like mind training, because it's kind of like it's everything you do is kind of like mind training. But then if you want to be like a doctor, like a well, give me like the most specific kind of doctor there is. Like you kind of need to just do that, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah,
dabble
yeah.
around other things, you could indirectly help, but then you
Well,
have to go
I
to
don't know.
school.
You know what's interesting is so my friend who's a physical therapist, and I would say he, you know, he has his own things he's going through, and like a lot of people, right, where we undervalue and underestimate ourselves. But what I see in him is I think he's on the trajectory to be really great, like really great. And it's interesting to see how a lot of what he contemplates on and comes to. is very much in the same kind of sense that we're talking about. A lot of insights that you would gain, that someone would you wouldn't think would come from just studying physical therapy. And right now, it's like, you know what he's studying right now? What he's studying to make himself a better physical therapist is like hardcore calculus and physics,
Oh shit.
right? But it's like you describe that to the layperson. It's like, why do you think, you need to do all these calculations or understand, understand this to make you a better physical therapist?
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean that's my pith instruction for Mei Chang as well. In order for me to be a better
Do more
facilitator
math, right? Yeah.
research, I actually have to learn more math. Like I've actually
Yeah.
have to read calculus, and I am reading that book about calculus, harnessing the power of infinity. I was just like, oh,
Mm.
like there's this infinity principle where they go to the infinite to solve the finite.
Mm.
It's like they bracket the pi, like the number the pi is in between like the 3 plus 10/71, the pi in the middle, and then there's 3 plus 10. I don't even know how to speak math in English. I don't know how to do it in
Yeah, pull
Vietnamese.
up the whiteboard.
Yeah. But it's like they're saying like, so, oh, the pi itself is an unpinnable number. It's a complete
Mm.
forever mystery in the way that you can't make it into like, this is the pi, like this is exactly it. You can't do
Mm.
that. But you can have like these parameters, and then based on that, trap it in, and then you exhaust the pi based on that. You know you can't never get it, but you
Mm.
can squeeze it tight enough so that it will exhaust itself and illuminate, and it then become
Mm.
helpful to whatever level of precision you want to play at.
Yeah.
And we're seeing
Yeah.
like, oh, a lot of what we're doing with mind training is also the principle, and this is me talking on my ass, just read the book literally 15 minutes ago. But it's like a lot of what we're doing is like using this emptiness principle to understand the substantial. Like for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's
if
like trying to find zero, right? There's no
yeah,
finding zero. Yeah.
it's like if we look at Taylor to say like, oh, he's a firefighter, then if we substand like that's also true, right? But if we understand the principle of emptiness, that allow us to have simultaneously be substantial at this way, but also allowing the substantiality not to box itself. So then that firefighter, it's not a
Yep.
paradoxical thing at all that firefighter teaches philosophy. Only in a certain way of looking at substantially, firefighter doesn't look like, or statistically speaking, firefighter doesn't really correlate much with philosophy training. But that would mean you box Taylor to only be a firefighter, right? Or frying
Yep.
whatever. So it's like allowing this, and then we're just seeing like, oh, it's almost that if a person make that emptiness, self-emptiness realization breakthrough, like you understand yourself to also be like that pie, like you can't pin yourself down, but there is a certain type of continuity about you that you can representatively speak like that is me. But that
Yep.
version of you, once you've seen that, then I'll see like, oh, the prashna parameters training on the sixth level of the bhumis, like the lower bhumis, is like on the way that the emptiness as the base, allowing now you can see substantially how it feels like to traverse through these different bhumis. Like, oh, this is how it feels like to be so-called cultivating energy. This is what it feels like to cultivate patience. Because then you have to see like how it is that you hit the limit of your patient. Because substantiality and emptiness is also the place between infinity and limits, right? Same with calculus.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And then right, and then once you can see that, you see the self-emptiness as yourself in that way. Then when you look at these provisional structures that you substantiate, like you start to learn like about yourself, about what that's really all about,
Yeah.
right? Why you continue to hold these. It's almost like when we talk about the dialectic process, right, you could say those are the karmic seeds, or those are the tension patterns in which we hold, and when they then become the structures through which, like the structures that create our interpretive lens, but then being able to see through, yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
it's
we
like
have a I love you,
silence
Frank's
makes a
biggest
noise.
fan in the chat, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And somebody else said,
I
all I
can't see
care
the
about is
chat.
pussy and consciousness.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
We were talking about pussy and B today.
Oh yeah,
Someone
what was
was,
going on with that? I heard this is pretty good.
yeah, it was a pretty good discussion throughout. I think, well, at the end, we are talking about like prescription drugs and what's the difference
Mm,
between like natural substances and prescription drugs. And a couple of alkalites were sharing their experiences with
mm.
antidepressants, whether it's the right thing to do to take antidepressants, what is there even a distinction between what's natural and what's artificial? How do you
Yeah,
even
right.
distinguish cause from effect? Just a lot of
Yeah.
different things, right?
Or
Because
even
like
like when you
one
say
particular
what's the
alkaline,
difference, what is our measurement of difference, right? Like what is the
exactly,
context
yeah,
in which we're trying to understand difference? Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. What is the context? It's just like the question of, hey, Frank, what do you think about prescription drugs versus plant medicine? I can't answer that,
Yeah.
right?
Be
I
like,
mean,
it depends. What do you like?
yeah, 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 it
Like
depends.
it's
Also,
like
I'm not a
what's the difference
psychiatrist.
between water and ice water? Like it
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was
Yeah.
making a point about how I don't really, I mean, I can't make that distinction when the context arises where it is necessary to make that distinction between what's artificial and what's natural. But like I've been saying before, to me, even AI is part of nature. You know, it's a part
Mm,
of the unfoldment of nature, or even skyscrapers or anything. But then you don't want to make nature into a thing either, right?
mm.
So, I don't know. What else did we talk about? Oh, yeah. And then I think Albert's advice to that acolyte is just to drown in pussies. And then I was talking about how, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Frank knows. Frank agrees." But I was like, "Yeah, well, I went from like
Well,
drowning 100 pussies a year to just drowning one pussy a year." And then we were talking about, oh, 100 quality versus one quality. What is the distinction between quality and quantity? It's like back then when I was doing that, I was very fulfilled. That was quality for me. I was
mm,
like, oh, going only for quantity, not quality. But the container for what I was doing before was quality. That I wasn't making a moralistic distinction between going to clubbing. Like I was telling the story of how I used to go clubbing like 3 times a week, and I'll just like line up and then hold up my philosophy book an hour before the club opens, and then I would just go in there and then take like 20 shots, and then that's it. I just go on auto mode zombie, and then the club closes. If I still didn't find a girl, I'll just walk around outside like a zombie, just like try to hunt for other like corpses. Yeah, and then if that doesn't work out, I'll hop on a train and then I'll try to pick us up on the train on the way to work or on the way to
Dang.
school. And actually, it became successful a couple of times. But then I was like, I'm so different now. Is the way my relationship to these things. But I never look at that as like, oh, I wasted. 'Cause a lot of people be like, Frank, you wasted so much of time of your life doing that empty sex. I never felt empty doing that. I felt really fulfilled.
Mm.
I feel fulfilled now. Yeah, that doesn't mean I wasn't suffering. I was suffering a lot back then doing that. This like, it's almost like this insatiable desire was like so overwhelming. That's why I say I could relate to like Jeffrey Dahmer,
Mm.
like this kind of insatiable desire that just seems like I don't know. It's kind of
What
beautiful
what
though.
this
But
what this makes
you
me
know what's funny? That is actually part of the disposition for that drive to orient, like everything we just talked about earlier. That's a big part of it. Like if you look at, you can almost say disposition. One way to describe the root of your virtue is this pure desire, pure interest, because that's how appearance manifests through interest. You can call it love, right? Or through relations, but like there is an appearance that's codependent arising right now between the audience, between me, you, Taylor. It's an appearance. It's empty, but how does it arise?
Mm.
There's an interest there. There is like a force, an orientation, right? A desire.
Yeah, that I also was thinking about that because the internet debrief, Frank, that you remember we were asking about like was that a click in disposition for me, or was there a new insight in terms of disposition? I think it was not a new insight disposition per se, but it's more like, oh, reaffirming of a deeper level of trust that I have with Mei Chang. That's how it arises. And I was seeing like, oh,
Hmm.
in that moment, like his voice comes to me because there was just this level of trust and love. Like just because I was detailing this last hit, it was a very powerful one today. A lot of tranquility, a lot of affliction comes up. There's also like both the affliction that was high, but also like the navigation to like find equilibrium was also high.
I actually felt that. No, I felt
So
that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I was saying about like how and it's like a very well documented phenomenon CC that when the session is about to end before like Mei Chang even make the cool down speech. Like a lot of people recognize, oh, this is about to end. Like
Yeah,
it's
the
almost,
signature of the signal changes a bit.
yeah, like
the texture,
the
the
textures,
quality changes.
the sense of the
The
absorption,
geometry.
densities lessen a little bit. It doesn't feel as if
Mm.
a little bit
Yep.
out, like the pressure and all that.
That's why I
And
wake up before my alarm.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in today, when that pressure, like when there's a depressurization, I'll see like, oh, it's about the disposition. And like it's almost word for word what was he then about to say, like when you recognize the emptiness of own phenomenon, reality as such appears, how could there be suffering? That's not what he said. I'm butchering his cool down speech, but something along that line. It was just like, oh, he's going to talk about this.
Mm.
And that never happened to me before. Like I knew when this cool down was about to be happening, but I didn't know what it's going to be talking about. But today was the
Oh,
first. It's like, oh,
that happened to me this week too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And because then I was like, wait, how did that moment arise? How did that? What was the mechanism that make that possible? And I think it links to for example, what Frank just talked about like, oh, there is this genuine interest to relating with Mei Chang, even though like all three of us know, and if you guys are watching this for the audience, if you are interested and curious about Mei Chang, next week is a great week to connect with a lot of practitioners from CC, and we can detail what it's like to work with him. One of the major thing is like there's a cost to relate to Mei Chang. Like the cost is you have to grow fast, very fast.
You have to die and be reborn all the time.
Yeah, it's very
which is
intense.
equals to growing. Yeah.
It's like this constant ride of love and hate and frustration and triumph, frustration, triumph, constant. And but like there is a side to us that maybe just me, you guys are fine. But there is a side of me that is now having to contend with like, damn, I'm kind of sick of this shit. Like this is
I contended with that at cohort 5.
Wait, sick of which part of what?
I'm kind of sick of this shit.
Yeah.
Just like this, I don't even know what I'm sick of, but I'm just sick of it. Just whatever the fuck that is. And because Mei Chang is the one that is like the powerhouse that's like pumping and holding the rein in that way. So of course it goes to him, right? The pointers and the blame, the scapegoating and the projecting a lot of times comes to him. So having that kind of experience been going on. But today's session, there was also a recognition of like, I don't mind. I want to continue to be friend. So I was seeing like, oh, okay. That was one of, I'm not saying that's the only mechanism, but I was seeing that's without that wouldn't be possible. That moment wouldn't arise. Like the mind to mind connection in that way.
Interesting. It's like the substance of appearance. Like some people call it love. You can say it's interest with a capital I, but interest almost transcends like love and hate. Well, I'm saying when I say love, it's a kind of love that must include the more dialectical, conventional love and hate. You know.
Yeah. There was something that was.
Things are extremely interesting when you fucking hate it, like, or you really annoyed with it. Like that. Like people they love hating. Like there's a lot of people. You know, I bet a lot of the haters out there they actually love doing it.
Yeah.
And people love getting hated on too. Yeah, there's hating. Either you hating on people or getting hated on. There's a love to that. There's an affection to that. There is a. If you're gonna hate someone, how much interest do you have to generate to actually hate someone? Especially hate, because like we say, like psychologists say, like negative emotions like burns more resources or whatever, right? But a lot of times we look at love or affection or connection is like this one-sided thing. But like just like antithesis of a connection, in a sense, is the connection.
Yeah. That's why like, there's so many these stories or this like kind of like trope of in like swordsman kind of a stories that how like the actual one true friend that you have is usually your rival.
That's interesting.
It's like you fucking hate that person, but that's the only person that gets you. And probably that's why you hate him, right? Because like, It's like because yeah, like it's a range of human emotion, right? So
Mm.
it's funny because it reminds me of all these kind of it's funny, but it's also pretty tragic. It's like the story of ops and whatnot in urban and youth communities, whereas like these black folks who just grow up and just talk about ops and like killing their ops or like meeting their
What's the
ops,
ops? What's the ops?
Opposition.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's like, who's your ops? Like, oh, if I'm gonna be there, like none of the ops are gonna survive. Like, but then like they're basically lovers. They think about each other all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, if you look at dialectics, like
They
even
they
Hegelian
cross the street and
dialectics,
they're trying to look for their ops. Like, where's the ops at?
Mm.
yeah, yeah, it's like the ops affirms your, in a way, affirms your existence. But I was gonna say, like, if you look at the Hegelian dialectics, right? A new synthesis can only be generated through oppositions. But that literally is what drives appearance.
Hmm.
Even
Mm.
that very interplay between emptiness and form, or whatever we talked about earlier, between infinity and infinity, right? Between the finite and the infinite.
Do you guys think it's a big problem nowadays that or just in general, it will be a problem if you don't have enough power to digest hatred. So then like you become passive aggressive or you can't voice it out. I know I have that problem, but just overall, like you can't even stand being an enemy to anything.
Mm. When you say
Then
digest
you get,
hatred, do
then
you
you
just
become
mean
an
like,
enemy to yourself. Then you like subconsciously become an enemy to yourself. Because you
Mm.
need to externalize that hate somewhere, or like digest it, right? You need to metabolize it. But
Digest it, I mean, like it literally could just be sitting with it and like seeing what it's about. Associate yourself with the signal of that emotion. Maybe you need to change something. Maybe you need to address something. Maybe you need to make decisions. Or maybe you just
mm.
need to accept a certain part of life that is ugly or nasty or disgusting or whatever. Like you just hate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In that sense, I think a lot of what, like that's a lot of what just maintains like this like a self-identity, right? Is an
Mm.
inability to digest whatever it is, that tension
Mm.
that is continuing to be held, like then we create these holding patterns that we take as a self, the holding patterns that structure our interpretive frameworks, our interpretive lens and apertures.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it, you could say, yeah, just not being able to digest, accept, be with these
metabolize.
emotions and feelings, and just like like seeming paradox and contradiction.
Would you guys say that you guys have ops in your life or at
I
some
have
point
no enemies.
or like you're like,
Uh,
I really don't like that guy. Like, is that ever a thing for you? When
oh yeah, I got people I don't like.
but
Yeah.
like don't like, but that's also a significant influence on your life.
You, bro. Sometimes I don't like you, man. But I love you, bro. You know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and
Mm,
kind of actually have that little bit of that relationship, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Sometimes we just don't like each other, but like it's a very what do you call it, a rivalry? Like I don't know what it is. You know exactly what you just said, right? About like
It could be rivalry, it could be like sibling kind of dynamic.
yeah, a little bit, a
Yeah, a
little
lot of
bit.
things.
Yeah,
It could be that.
a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
And I think like I don't know, I'm like you guys say, I'm still very young and there's a lot of emotion I've yet to taste and digest it. But I think this is one of the core thing that I'm sitting with, which is like I think like as a grown man, it's probably appropriate to just sit with what it feels like to be hateful towards something and just like let's confront it, let's talk about it, let's give direct feedback, let's really sit with this and did
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
When you said that, this is maybe the first time you contended with the fact that maybe there's a part of you that hate Mei Chen. You said
yeah.
that pretty recently, right? And I was like, dude, I contended with. It's not like maybe it won't happen ever again, but then I contended with that cohort 4, And I'm literally sending him a message when I was going through that 1 week in Panama. I was like, I hate you, because I said something like, but I also love you. I said something like we're very similar or something like that. But
Right.
from that moment was like a flipping point. The switch has been flipped. It's like there's a trust there now. Like
I
like,
think
it still took me a while yeah, but
yeah.
There's a question for you, Frank, that what is it about Con in those moments that you don't like?
what you mean, those moments that how something when you who bugs maybe bugs me about like, hey, again, you're not in time, but he's pointing the right thing,
Like
or like
hold you
he will
accountable.
give me, yeah, he would give me like pretty harsh criticisms.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like I need that, because like I said, like my whole life I've been enabled, right, by my family, my audience, whatever, just even my ex-girlfriends, like people just kind of enable me all the time. Those wasn't until I met you guys that there's actually constructive feedback through with like love and virtue, not just like hating you for no reason. That's cool too, but
Mm,
it's actually a part of the growth. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
when
that'd be
yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead. I won't forget.
I remember the first
But
time I
it makes sense if Khan doesn't like me at some point though, because like I was slacking off so much. Like I forgot what cohort it was. I was just at Europe partying, and he had to carry the whole load. I
yeah,
can totally understand why, but yeah.
yeah. Because I remember like when I first saw the one-on-one between Mei Chang and Frank, I was like, oh, this is possible. Like there
Oh.
is related with Frank that's like holding me accountable. I was like, oh, I want to learn this. And then I was slowly stack over time because I was part of the process, part of that karma that Frank has very strong, which is bringing people along, and then that enables him, right? That's like holding that to that pole of infinity, and would be very charismatic, and would be very powerful in that way. It would be very charming that people just give him what he wants. But then Bei Chang was like the first demonstration of, oh shit, that's what taming looks like. And I saw that and I was like, okay, I want to learn this. And then slowly working up my courage, my certainty, my own confidence, whatever. And then to sit with Frank and like starting to be like, oh, yo, like we need to talk about this. I don't like it when you do that, or like you need to look at this now, and like those kind of things. It takes a while, right? Like we were saying, it takes a year.
Mm. Somebody
Yeah.
said there's times when he doesn't, or he or she doesn't like us, but then he loves us after each breakthrough. It's
Only
like a
after the breakthrough
5G.
do I like you.
Yeah.
It's so conditional.
Oh, but before Taylor, hopefully you don't forget that what you're about to say. But one
Mm,
of the things recently about my dynamic of relationship with Mei Chang is that this time I actively hold on to the hate just a little longer.
mm,
Because I recognize that I have a pattern of looking for reconciliation to avoid the tension and prematurely dissolve the tension. So it's not to hold on to the hatred for no reason at all, but it's based on my pattern, right? My pattern is to avoid conflict, be wishy-washy, kumbaya, holding hands, his own love, his own great in that way. So then if I know that about myself, and now I have an opportunity to like, okay, there is this tension. So I would like milk it in that way. Like,
mm,
I would wake up and like hate decisively, intentionally. But then the more I do that, I'm like, oh, but then I also see that time and time again, the the output is still love. It's like at the end of the day, I still choose it. I still choose to, okay, let's work it out. Let's be a team. Let's
Yeah.
be a good friend. Let's when I give Frank feedback criticism, I was like, okay, that's also part of my frustration. That's also part of me not being able to communicate clear. So it's come out extra harsh unnecessarily. Apologize to Frank for that. All those things. But still like there's that aspect as well.
Yeah, that's part of the fitness too. It's like love is actually fitness. You have to like almost like constantly decide,
Yeah.
in a sense. Yeah, it's almost like decide. You decide to love when you can be hating is actually what gives meaning to love, in a sense. Yeah.
mm.
What you about to say, Taylor?
Um, the thing about I was gonna say to Frank was that I don't know because there's been a lot of conversations on the back end and with the team regarding you, Frank, and like friends and friendship and whatnot, and all that you've gone through there. And I don't know exactly where you're at and how you view and feel about friendship, like what it is and who and whatnot. But when I did first come into CC and got to know you a little bit better, I did speaking about this kind of surrounding yourself with people who enable you. I was like, oh, I don't know if this guy knows what friendship is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, this is from like cohort 4, 10, like a year ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe I had the assumption that only people who enable you can be your friends, but actually it's quite the opposite. That's why.
Yeah. I've always
Okay.
related to it as the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. So you're then you also told me that most of your people that you know also kind of maybe don't have that view as much,
With
right?
they don't hold people
Just like
accountable, or they
yeah, or
are they
just like
enable people?
having the view that if you enable someone, it doesn't automatically make them a friend. Actually, it could be the opposite. If you really truly love someone, sometimes you have to let them like feel exactly what they need to feel and give them direct feedback.
Yeah. I actually
That
think
yeah,
that's most people though, right? I think
yeah, right,
probably
exactly, right. I think that's what
more than not
I
have
think so.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or don't even realize the degree to which they have that like kind of orientation. Yeah.
The
But
what orientation?
it's interesting
Like this.
because like I think go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this orientation of like what it actually means to hold somebody accountable, including yourself. Yeah, because a lot of that is situated atop, like we could say, right view. You know?
Yeah. Mhm. A lot of that is strictly down from like limited view, I'll say, or partial view.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
I think it's also like we could say like partial view or uh reasoning capacity or whatnot. But I think a lot of times it could be just an aspect of ourselves that never developed, right? It's
Yeah.
like
mm,
there's
You just never
simplicity,
know.
like a stunted aspect of ourselves that, oh, those range of emotion, I've never actually felt that thoroughly. Right? Because like lately I've been seeing how if we were to visualize our so-called sphere, like we as a sphere with all the characteristic qualities and the mind, blah blah blah, I would just see like, oh, I'm very lopsided in a certain dimension. Like they're just things that's
mm,
just not well developed. And those aspects requires time and attention to like how like for example like if you mop the car like you pour hot water and it slowly it reheal recondition itself in that way.
mm,
Like literally putting time and attention reading math text for me is like reconfiguring how I think,
mm.
because like I never developed that. Like it was like learning math and all that in it was very stupid at math. I gave up on it.
You're not good at math. You really not good at math.
I'm very bad at
Dude,
math.
I thought you were good at everything. Like,
No,
yeah, yeah. Like last Saturday review, we were writing things for our peers. I was like, Connor's the smartest person I know. Yeah. He's the
I think
fastest learner I know. He's just got a fucking computer. But I'm sure you can learn math pretty easily if you put your mind to it.
But I think I have a pretty strong limiting belief back then because like it's because like for me to learn math meaning to accept being measured, and we for whatever reason may not like that, right? May avoid being held to the level of precision to know exactly how good or how bad we are at certain things. And sometimes that's just painful. Just like, damn,
Mm.
Dude,
like
it's
that's
also in some way, I think Xi Jinping is pretty revolutionary. He brings like mathematics and physics into meditation. Like, not a lot of people are doing
but I mean
that.
like if I was just reading about that book, even the people back in ancient Greek, that's all they did. Math, geometry, a mathematic with geometry and numbers and numerology, all those
Mhm.
things weave together with philosophy
Yeah,
and the cultivation of Sophia, like for wisdom.
love of wisdom. Yeah, it's all under the same umbrella. Yeah,
It's just that in the modern age, maybe like we slice and dice our being, the present and being got sliced, split it
yeah,
in
yeah.
all the ways.
True.
Because for
Yeah.
me, like math is very much associated with like I don't know, just a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain for me.
Mm.
Yeah, I did kind of like geometry though. Yeah, because there's more visual for me. But in some sense, like I think a lot of what I do is quite mathematical. Like the meticulous way that I edit my videos or even violin. Like Einstein used to, when he couldn't figure out the answers to a mathematical equation, he would just play his violin and he would spontaneously come up with an answer while he was playing the violin. And he used to call equations beautiful, like music, like the way equations balance themselves out. There's a certain kind of elegance and geometry to reality, right? Like that's the whole thing about aesthetics. It's like what makes, yeah, sure, everything is appearance, but what makes you orient towards, what makes your appearance, you as an appearance, orient towards another set of appearance, even though it's just reality relating to
Mm.
itself. But there's certain kind of, I guess you can call it vibrations or radiations that just seems to click. Yeah. And it's interesting that sometimes we use the word geometry to describe a lot of the meditative equipoise, or even just describing the six sense spheres, or describing, the inseparability between presence and being. We use the word like geometry. There's a geometry to what we are, right? If you look at what we are, not just this individual mitsu, but it's literally a four-dimensional sphere, which is like all
Mm.
this, which is four dimensions for it, like floating around, rolling around, and there's an orientation to how the sphere, even though it's constantly rolling, constantly, it's change, but at the same time, it's changeless.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of
There
ways you
is a
could talk about
geometry.
in like
Yeah,
mathematical language or from a
exactly. So
mathematical
it
lens,
only
right?
makes sense. Why don't more people talk about like geometry and
Yeah.
mathematics when they describe,
Yeah.
I guess, realizations, insights, right? It's like
Yeah,
it's
because
boundless, but there is a certain geometry. It's still in
Yeah.
some way,
yeah,
or it can be
Because we talk
contained, right?
about
Okay,
vectors
this
and
right.
degrees and probability and
Velocities,
yeah. So
yeah, it
yeah.
could be one
geometry.
of the controversial aspect of our recent discussion in CC is like maybe a lot of meditation teachers and spiritual leaders are just dumb. They just dumb.
Yeah.
They just
Well,
they
it's
they
just
are
people.
saints. Yeah, they are saints, but
Yeah.
like a lot of things that they are done, they developed, and sure they can sit down and
Mm.
meditate, be peaceful, but
Mm.
they probably don't know math. They probably don't know
Mm,
social engineering, sociology. They probably don't know a lot of things, but they can be
Mm.
mm,
effective to be part of a cohesive local context in which they serve as a ritual master and they serve as the one that do the liturgical service to the people. But why would they need to be understanding like macroeconomics and like geopolitical tension?
Mm. Yeah.
Like, what would be the cause for them to learn that, right? Like a lot of the teachers and those things, like they are a cogs in a spiritual machine, but
Mhm.
see, I think we are going for
we
something
also
that
need that. Yeah.
Yeah. Its own local network, right? It's its
yeah.
own local network.
So in local network with with the patrons that usually is the king or some sort of a the protectors of the Dharma that's like have the power, have the backing that they can fund these things, just like the Medici that funds like Leo da Vinci or something like that, right? So they have partnership and they have backings. So you study like Tibetan Buddha
Mm,
Dharma, you see the lineages, get association with the Dharma kings, whether that's the Mongolian with the Sakya, or the later on like the different Qin dynasty, those dynasties that link with
Mm.
different sects within Buddha Dharma in Tibet to
Yeah.
rise up. So there's those like finessing, right? There's those political finessing. But I reckon that within that structure of an organization of a lineage, like those top guys who's like in the managers or in the leading, they would need to learn these skills. But a lot of these, not middle manager, but it's like local contact teachers is just like that's not my that's like beyond my paycheck. I don't need to think
Mm.
about that. But then those would be then the typical uh, association you have with so-called a meditation teacher. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
But
I
then
mean, it's. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, but like then it get conflated, right? Which is like this is the image of what that in that context can look like. But the realization we're talking about is transcendental and inclusive of everything, everything.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That
that's
was
why
what I was
it's
going to comment
yeah.
on. Was like as the if we talk about compassion is what the union of form and emptiness is. And it's like, as if you want to call it realization or as illumination becomes further and further illuminates kind of the network of conditions of samsara, the refined and skillful means, right? Because it's like all of these skills like form then the basis of in conditioned finite existence, the skillful means of compassionate transmission of what is otherwise unbounded by conditions. But as that like illumination broadens and broadens farther out of the context of like like a single individual, a small sangha, a country like Thailand or Bhutan, to this global this global dimension, like the degree, like the breadth of skillful means like widens as well. And like you can have we are
In the world system,
conditional
yeah.
beings, right? Like you can have this, you can have the seeing clearly in the illuminations, but insofar as like our ability to instantiate, like actually instantiate it in relationship with another being in samsara, like there is a retraining of the being in that way so that it can skillfully then instantiate those that kind of, I don't know, what would you call that, through the relationship, right? The illumination through the relationship.
Yeah, I was gonna say, actually, a lot of the materials in the spiritual marketplace only focuses on presence, like the illumination. So, okay, how do you find boundless awareness, or
Mm,
even anataraalization? It's like, oh, it's pretty much just about presence, but they don't tell you how to be. They don't tell you how you can become or how you are becoming. They don't talk about being, right? They don't talk about the temporal aspect of realization,
mm,
because if you look at realization or like what you are, it's like I said, it's beyond four-dimensional, but you can say it's mainly three-dimensional of time, right? One dimension of, sorry, three
I have
dimension
a
of space,
yeah,
one dimension of time. Yeah. But
I
a
have a
lot of the spiritual,
hypothetical like yeah.
yeah, because like it's
I have a
about
good
coming back to being. It's like right after you recognize presence, sure, you can continue to live your life and integrate, but there's a skillfulness in there that don't aren't really being discussed, right? Because like, the end point for most people is just seeing the presence,
yeah.
seeing the nature of mind. But then how that nature of mind orient, how that
mm,
geometry,
mm. Yeah.
relate with other geometries, they're coming from the perspective of the presence, going back to being, and that's I guess a lot of what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's of course like to shout out to the work of course, foremost to Mei Chang leading the charge and like pointing us to the direction. To also answer the question of in the chat, somebody's text like, Khan, do you contend with the lack of desire to even learn math? Yeah, it's like that's why I don't learn math. Like I don't have the desire, but because the instruction directly come from Mei Chang, like okay, he knows me very well and he knows my conditions and I trust him that has my best interest and wants to see me grow. So then I take a look and then I take a look at it. Oh, I see what you mean by this, and now I don't like it because it's deeply like a strong affliction in that way. But it's also not random, right? I'm not going out of my way to just learn random stuff. It's very direct of like learn just this aspect. You don't have to be really good at it. You just need to be more literate in
Mm.
this domain. Like you don't have to be like a mathematician overnight or something like that. You don't even need to be that well, but you just need some basic statistical understanding to even think about means, mediums, distribution, whatever. Like just that, right?
It's just like
Very
increasing the
basic as
fitness and
shit.
stretching out different parts of your mind that is underdeveloped. That's it. It could be through
Yeah.
like relating with people. It could be through math. Could be through, I don't know. For me, it was doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you're typically not going to like your pith instruction, right?
yeah, that's like a lot of time the
Yeah, because
point of
it forces you to
instruction,
repattern your karma, right? Yeah.
it's like it's to hit you at the most vulnerable spot possible, like in that way. Like, oh, I'm really gonna do that. You don't like that, right? Like it's by definition, it's not within your set of motivation. So then the medium to do that is either your aspiration to like grow no matter the cost, or your trust, or both at the same time, right? Or more. I don't know. See, like I'm not good at math, or like even scoping out the possibilities and probabilities of this. But my point about this is like how come on the spiritual marketplace there's not a lot of materials on being? It's because the material marketplace is very decontextualized, right? People don't know anybody. People don't know people. Like how the
Mm.
fuck can anybody give advice to anybody if everything is just so flattened?
It's just a talking head. Yeah, it's just talking head in a video, in a YouTube video, or
Like you don't
that's
know
all.
them, they don't know you. So then it's a great void of then whatever level of context you give people would most likely be either a type of like cookie cutter, kind of like low resolution, low effectiveness, kind of shotgun approach, or just straight up like incompatible. So then you try to like, man, I'm really trying to be like Frank. I'm trying to be like Frank. I'm trying to be like Frank. But your set of karma may not be similar.
Mimicry. Yeah,
Yeah, so then
we talked a
you
lot about
try to meme yourself into it, right? But if people meme,
yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah.
but if people meme themselves into this, they may not have the support structure to provide the feedback so that they can effectively meme their way into authenticity.
Well, there's another theory I have, which is similar to what we talked about like this emphasis or this reification of having no thoughts or having no doer, is that because we're trying to use a cure to, you know, a lot of times the spirituality thing is like a medicine to cure the disease on the conventional level, right? So the presence or saying like there's no dimension, for example, it's a cure or a remedy to de-reify you having to substantialize like layers of reality. Sure, you can abiding presence be like, oh, there's no dimension, but then you say, oh, there's no dimension, which means that there can be infinite dimensions. But then how do those infinite dimensions, how do they relate to each other? What's the texture of, again, the beingness or the relative coming from the absolute into the relative and see the inseparability between the two. But then now you have to operate still on the relative.
Yeah.
But but going back to the relative, it's what we're trying to get away from for most people's lives, right? Because we're
right.
stuck only in the relative, right?
Because they're
That's what
looking
I'm
for
saying.
a refuge, right? Because
Just
like
like
that's people got to learn to
but we
de-escalate
need
from
that.
all of that. Yeah.
So it's almost like we just like the end of the spiritual path for most people. It's like actually, I guess you can call it the midway point if you really want to draw like a graph. It's like coming back from like coming down from the mountain. It's like, okay, you see that thoughts are empty, but now how do you think more effectively? That's a lot of what we talk about here, right? With the
Yeah, I think like
there's no others. You realize that all others are appearances, but now how do you relate?
Yeah, precisely.
That's exactly how like how it works. It's by seeing the others as empty, quote unquote, is how you can truly relate, right? Because now you can
substantialize effectively.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can substantialize effectively. Yeah, that's good to put it. Yeah, it's like, I used to talk about the same thing. You're putting the form back into emptiness, but how do you do that?
Yeah.
This is science to it, the art to it.
Yeah. So then like when we and it's not to dig in any kind of particular sect or religions or that aspect, right? But like we share an experience of us three. We come into a monastery to sit, and we were sitting there with the Theravadan's tradition, and there was a lady, there was a girl who asked a question about like recently she went through a lot, and it's really overwhelming for her. How do I find stability? Like I'm going through a lot, just those kind of things. But I would just see like, okay, so the monk is giving advice to a white lady in her 20s, and the monks don't have any clue about what's going on with this girl's context. So the advice is just extremely vague. You just need to sit down and meditate some more. And it can be mocking a little bit, but it's well, I kind of am mocking it, but it's also to point out the sadness of the situation, right? Which is the monk wants to help, but he doesn't have the means or the connection. Like he doesn't know what it's like to be a white girl in her 20s trying to navigate life. So like he's from Thailand or something like that. So how does he even help? Right? There's this great cultural social chasm, right? Like how do you connect? So now we got like all the people who got access to the Dharma, to the teaching of liberation, whatever. But the people who traditionally was teaching it in a local context, they can't migrate fast enough. They don't know the lingo. They don't know the slang. They don't know the cultural memes and all that. So then there's just this communication gap, and then becoming unskillful, lack of skill, right? Lack of familiarity. Yeah, it's like it's like one of our current acolyte. I hope that he comes to the public practice week next week. But he was from public practice week in 7. When he started to train with us, he's have a lot of ideas that he accumulated, a lot of experiences that he have with also the boost of psychedelics. But after this cohort, he's just like, damn, man, I really need to get my career like in check. I'm a young man and I still have this only things I haven't figured it out. I need to move out. I need to get my place. I need to really sort out this stuff, man. And like precisely then we're now seeing like webs of young men kind of like disillusioned about what's going on, either politically, socially, culturally, looking for refuge, looking for certainty, looking for what to be told what to do. But only the answer is like, you need to grow up and actually become who you are. You need to stop running away from your emotions. And the answer is so dead simple that it's like fucking humiliating at times, right? It's just like, damn, is that it? So in some ways, like, especially Taylor, right? Like you got that massive advantage because you don't get distracted. You're just working away, figuring out like, okay, stable livelihood, stabilize to whatever level of stability that you can stabilize, relationships around you, and then let the chips fall where they fall. And then now you're here. A lot of people haven't even started the process of like taking care of their chips. And they're trying to like bypass.
They try to chip away the chip that I don't have.
Yeah. And they try to like.
No, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have a self yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They are the spiritual NPC who think that they are waking up. But bro, you are literally an NPC. You are barely payable. You barely have free will.
Spiritual NPC.
That's brutal, right? Like, oh damn! Like it's just one side of the NPC talk about the other side of the NPC.
Yeah, it's just like the mimicry thing. It's like that we need mimicry to.
It's funny because like probably the spiritual NPC is even like
more mimicry
worse than the other
ways,
NPC. Yeah, because the other NPC
because they're so sure that the other NPC don't even think of themselves as they're not NPCs.
Yeah, that's what's funny. It's like, oh shit, I'm still an NPC.
But yeah, it's like the mimicry thing.
There can be a debilitating kind of certainty that comes with that.
Yeah, even if you, especially if you have some initial breakthroughs.
Yeah, like some initial breakthroughs, right?
Psychedelic experiences, yeah.
And then we conflate that experience with like,
then we just
yeah.
Because a big part of the talk of this cohort is this whole notion of non-affirmative negation. It's like, how do you negate something without affirming its opposite? Because the dualistic mind's tendency is always to reaffirm something. It would just grasp onto something to affirm, to find a new ground whenever it,
like we might be able to finally negate some kind of operational frame that we've been working with, but then we immediately have to be like, okay, well then this then.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But then it's like saying like, oh, in the beginning when we started to read about spirituality in the beginning, because we're so attached to our thoughts and our emotions, now we come to this teaching of, oh, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my body, I'm not my emotions. But then by saying that you're not that, you are affirming. Some people just affirm like awareness, right? Oh, I'm not my body, I'm not emotion, but I'm awareness. That's one way of. But then in another sense, you're actually affirming a negative that you think you are. Does that make sense? It's like the making no self into a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's really subtle, but it's like it's like the whole thing with NPC as well, right? It's like almost like the same kind of paradox.
Yeah, and the tension that CC Bootcamp provides is like, sure, it's subtle, but like if you show up for 90 days straight, you're gonna get spotted out. Like your pattern will show up. Like
it's hard to describe just how obvious it is, right?
It's very obvious that you are it's so obvious. Like I can smell it.
Yeah,
it's so obvious. But like people are like, oh, they know that I'm an NPC? Duh, bro, everybody knows. But that's what I mean by relating with McChang, and by extension, this bootcamp is like brutal in that way. The dying aspect of this. Damn. I thought I was over this, but no, I'm still like I think I haven't even started yet. That could be very, very like disencouraging if you don't really love the game, right? If you're in it for the accolades, if you're in for the praises, you're in it for the like pat on the back of like, oh, congratulations, you also realize this Buddhist thing, whatever.
Yeah. Every step it's like, congrats. Here's the next job.
Yeah, it's so funny because like even if you don't directly affirm the opposite of what you negated, the mind has a tendency to affirm other things. It will just come out like in other patterns or other kind of substantialization of either behaviorally your habits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
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 And
So that's a
even
big part of
That's
the
why you
whole
need relating thing, relating with people, have to point it out to you.
yeah. It's both, right? What I was gonna say real quick is that like
Or you explain it in a way.
yeah, and so that's why a lot of the view refinement we do, right? It's just kind of laying out very plainly what are the mechanisms of mind, right? And then so it's interesting because we have cohort A, right? Which is like it's an emphasis on relationality, like the what we were talking about with the interpersonal being in the discomfort together, conflict resolution, not relief, but resolution, right? And so it's like through applying this relational pressure, we refine the view. But then there's this whole other that's taken the relationship, the relating aspect as the primary emphasis. But you can similarly do the same thing with view, where you primarily emphasis view, and that
Trickles
reveals
down
or
to how you
illuminates
relate.
the relationship, the distortions in the relationships. Um, but yeah, it's that's something that like some of the criticism or that we've gotten in the past from acolytes when they first start CC, and it's like a lot of like working out just what are the mechanisms at play here. Like that's the whole thing with the aggregate model, the elemental model, and then when we start talking about interest and attention, contention, intention, and then now we have this whole dialectic kind of process that we can describe about what it means to when we actually ask in a way that opens attention to the field, when we actually refine the inquiry so that it's like where then we have the relationship between an expansion and contraction, right? When it's like they're part of the same breath, that is just the movement of life, where you open the field and trace the contours of what is actually being inquired about, what is actually being investigated, and so on and so forth. And so like then just but my point is that some of the feedback we get is people like it's too much concept, too much discussion, too much. I just want to sit and quiet mind, you know.
There's
Yeah,
a place for that. Sure.
yeah, and there is a
It's
place
just
for that,
like
right?
coming back.
This is maybe me just rambling of my annoyance. It's just
Yeah. No, the whole part about like
It is a type of
not
culture,
affirming.
is type of what?
culture shock coming to CC in that way. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
the way we use the same word, like say training or meditation, but it looks very different here. We may normalize this shit, right? We may like, of course, it's
yeah,
on a discussion, but some people are like, I've never discussed my meditation before, like ever.
yeah, yeah,
I've never sit down and immediately like, what just happened, and say it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's
Like,
the
what is
first
the
couple of weeks where you're
phenomenological texture
emphasizing.
of that emotion? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, or like the maneuver
Describe it.
for you to
Yeah,
navigate through it. How do you describe that maneuver? Like, what is the
yeah.
exact maneuver and routings are
That's
you?
why. Yeah. What is your attention to?
Yeah.
You know, like, does it constrict around it? You know, do thought threads want to proliferate? What other emotions
Mm.
arise? Where's the tension in the body?
Yeah.
How do you relate to that tension? Like all of the right, just all of these different ways we learn to actually articulate our experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I was just gonna say, like, part of the process of non-affirmative negation isn't to stay negated, because then you're just gonna be affirming negation, right? It's like, now how do you affirm? How do you affirm
Yeah,
skillfully
substantializing
if you don't
emptiness. Yeah,
substantialize? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You don't have to make no self into the no. You don't have to make no self into a new self. But
Annihilation.
that's all you have.
Yeah,
In a sense, that's all
yeah.
you have. That's why we say, "Come as you are," and realizing self-emptiness is actually two
Then
sides
you
of the same
become
coin.
the
Or related.
eternal annihilator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Dr. Manhattan?
Uh,
The deathless.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pretty cool episode, I would say. Yeah. So once
Mm.
again, I think next week, right now we don't have Jason and Albert on this, but those are the two of the 5 instructors that'll be leading the transmission next week. I'm really just stoked of starting first and really introducing our lineup. So our lineup would be me starting first and like setting up the stage. Then we can talk about all the different ways that we meditate in CC, what we mean by we do mind training, what does that even comprise of, include. Day 2 would be Albert, where he's really talking with all the ways that we really disassociate and how to reassociate with our experience. Because there, like this whole NPC phenomenon is really just a numbed and jaded mind who just no longer is actually interfacing with reality. Like it just within its own conception is ongoing out of it. So that's day 2. Day 3, then we will be guided by Frank to observe and see our patterns, the arising, passing away, the momentariness, um, and all the stickiness of our emotions and narratives. How it is so that it is so much addictions and bad habits that lingers. How does that even work like? So it's a continuation of day 2 and day 3. And then day 4 would be a further continuation by Taylor, would then now take us into the examination of our fixation. So how we like literally substantialize and we can't let go of the need to be right, the need to do the right thing. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Those kind of things. Just a ongoing performance pressure when it comes to try to figure it out, but then feeling the restlessness of it. And day 5 would then be concluding by Jays, who would then be guiding us how this is an ongoing commitment to growth, how it is in process-oriented skills and not necessarily only outcome-oriented skills. And that's a big difference, right? Because in CC, like how we talk about it is a spiral of training. It's not really like you reach this point of the outcome. Like this is like low equanimity, this is high equanimity, and you always want to be here. But actually, once you reach high equanimity, is to open the game, open the next set of afflictions that then you can be really destabilized and back to disequilibrium, back to non-equanimity. And then from that, train another cycle. And how this entire process then links to relational practices, like Taylor was just talking about, Frank was just talking about, relate to how you physically exert in your life, your lifestyle, and all those things. And then on Saturday, we'll sit with each other, review the entire thing. And by that point, see if you guys want to join Cohort 8. And I'm going to say it now, but we also have something pretty special in store for this Saturday, the next Saturday. So I would really, really suggest that we spend some time and check that out. If you guys can't spend time on that live, that's okay. I can send you a recording afterwards. But yeah, I'm cooking up something pretty special for us, and I look forward to it. And I think it will be really, really cool. So I also look forward to that. Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I know what we're talking
I
about either.
haven't done a team yet, so we'll keep it a surprise. Okay, thank you guys so much for enjoying our show. If you really feel like this call deserve a like, subscribes, that'd be great. We're almost 1,000 subscribers. Wow, look at that. 1,000 people on following CC. So if you guys can like, subscribe to this, that'd be amazing. And we'll see each other next Friday. Oh, next Friday is Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Dreaming big, taking on the gorilla.
Mm.
The Goliath, sorry, not, but he pretty much also is like a gorilla level size.
Dude, he's big, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually seeing it. I think it'll be interesting.
Brian, you also should watch Physical 100. That's our favorite show right now. All the people on CC are watching it. Shout out Physical 100.
Yeah, contestants apply for our boot camp.
That'd be amazing.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot of things we're cooking up, and we're taking it slow, but I'm 2026, I'm focusing on you guys. I'm focusing on this live stream. I'm focusing on building the show. There's a lot of things we're cooking up. There's a lot of research that I'm doing at my school that I want to show you guys. But yeah, there's a lot of things cooking up, and I'm excited. I'm excited moving forward. But okay, stopping the live.